Hi, this is Miss Codell, and today I'm going to share with you about quadrants. Okay, if you recall from my earlier video and other lessons that you've had, this is a coordinate plane. It is like having two number lines put together. The x-axis is going across or horizontally. The y-axis is going up and down or vertically. They meet in the middle at a point which is called the origin, which is 0, 0. If you were going to locate a point on the number line, you would have a number going to the left or to the right first, and then you would have an amount going up or down second. Okay, so we're going kind of past that and talking about quadrants. Now the quadrants are usually labeled by Roman numerals, and the Roman numerals are kind of going counterclockwise. So the quadrant here that we usually are just used to using before we learned about positive and negatives is actually going to be quadrant 1. And it kind of looks like a 1, or it could be an I. The second quadrant, quadrant 2, it goes backwards this way, that would be over here on the left. Okay, quadrant 1, if I were going to locate a point, my value would be positive, positive, because I go to the right, so to the right it's positive. And if I go up, which would make it be still in this area, that would also make it positive. So if you have a point in quadrant 1, it has two positive numbers. Quadrant 2, though, it goes negative first because it goes to the left first. And then it goes up, so it would be negative positive. The next quadrant, quadrant 3, is right below it. And that one, I would go to the left, which is negative, and then I would go down, which is also negative. So this one is two negatives. And the last quadrant, which is quadrant 4, and I show my 4 with an IV because 5 is V, and putting the I in front of it makes it subtract 5 minus 1. So anyway, 4 is IV. That one is positive because you go to the right, and then a negative. So you're positive, negative. And if you look at the relationship of these quadrants to each other, you have positive, positive here. If you go diagonally from it, the opposite quadrant is negative, negative, so it's the opposite way. If you look at this one, we have negative, positive. Diagonally from it is positive, negative, which is exactly the opposite. So if you have the opposite signs on two different sets of coordinates, you're going to have opposite quadrants if they are reversed like these are here and here. Okay? So if you're trying to determine which quadrant a point is in, without even plotting points, you can figure it out. First, you would look at the signs of each coordinate. If they're both positive, it would be in quadrant 1. If they're both negative, they're in quadrant 2. If it's a negative and then a positive, it's in quadrant, if they're both negative, it's in quadrant 3. I misspoke. If it's a negative and a positive, it's in quadrant 2. If it's a positive and a negative, it's in quadrant 4. And when you are doing this work, you could probably draw just a small coordinate plane to help you keep track of that. I drew this larger one, but it doesn't really take much to remember. So that's the first thing you can do, is you can look at the signs. If you wanted to plot the points, you could also plot the points and then look to see where the points are. Let's look at an example, and let's try to figure out where those quadrants are, or what quadrant those coordinates are in. So if I look at, let's see how far down I can move this. Okay, if I look at this, 9, -2. So my first one is 9, -2. Now I have a positive and a negative. So I'm going to look at my coordinate grid, and I have right here, positive, negative is quadrant 4. Okay, and I could prove that by plotting it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 over, 2 down. -2 is 1, 2 this way. So this would be where that point is, and that proves to me that that point is in quadrant 4. Okay, let me do another example. Okay, so I have -3, +4. So this one, I have a negative and a positive, and I can just look at my chart here. Negative, positive is quadrant 2, but I can prove that by plotting the point. So -3, 1, 2, 3, +4, 1, 2, 3, 4 would be right here, and that is in quadrant 2. And I think I'm gonna fix this. I should have put that as a Roman numeral, so I'm going to fix that. And then my other one was in quadrant 2. Okay. Another example, -5, -2. This one is negative, negative. That makes it a lot easier. Negative, negative is quadrant 3. I can prove that. -1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -2. So -1, 2. That would be right here. That makes it in quadrant 2. Or 3, sorry. Negative, negative. Quadrant 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then obviously if I had positive, positive, it's going to be in the quadrant we're more familiar with, which is quadrant 1. And I can prove that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's where that point would be. Okay. So pretty simple figuring out what quadrant those points are in. Another thing that we talk about in the chapter with the quadrants is line symmetry and line of symmetry. I will talk to you about those in class, but in the meantime, ask any questions that you have. Feel free to let me know if you need any help on this. Thank you.